yearn for
Oh, fucked that up there. I just straight up clicked the wrong button. Hello everybody, welcome to another video, another episode of welcome to another episode of Guild Wars 3 Daily, your daily dose of Guild Wars 3 chat and shit. I hope we're doing good. What are we today? Are we early? Are we late? Are we in a superposition of the two? It's nearly 11. I had a very busy day. I had more insurance stuff going on, and sort of lost my afternoon to that. And I'd got up early, so then I had a nap, and now here we are. But it is still technically today, and I had scheduled this for 11, but now I'm starting earlier than 11, so I don't know. We're both at once. Yeah, so anyway, I hope you guys are all doing good. Yes, those of you in the live chat that are complimenting Mr. Modius's work. I feel terrible. Yesterday, I didn't even really talk about it. I talked about the technical side, that we now have that stuff fixed. But I didn't talk about the fact that, yeah, so there's no longer a countdown there, and it's a login screen again, and you can see his full-blown login screen. You can see it type WoodenPotatoes in there. How good is that? I also noticed on the daily intro, which I never popped. I'll do that now. Watch this. When the word daily appears, look at how he's actually masked, like the L in daily, to flow with the lettering from Arenanet's thing. Look at how seamless this is. Ready? Watch this.
If you yearn for horizons unexplored, for fellowship and purpose, for a cause worth dying for, to you, we can promise magic.
Sorry, not the I, the L. The L. How good is that, though? Yeah, sorry. It's a good thing we talked about that. I almost denied you guys your daily yearn. Your daily yearning. Speaking of yearning, yearn, there's something I've wanted to say for the past couple of videos. Here's a little wooden potatoes insight. Here's a little wooden potatoes theory, all right? About the Sylvari thing. Just very, oh my god, they have a floating tree. 14 years later, there's still a floating tree? Outraged. Check this idea out, right, guys? We were talking about the Sylvari, the idea that there's a tree in ore. Oh, there was a really good comment that I really wanted to put on screen. Oh, I gotta go find that. How can I find that? Shit. Hold on. It was somebody with the other opinion. Oh, how do I find it? I know who wrote it. Nick last name wrote it. If I just type his name, can I get all of his comments? I can't. This is so annoying. You used to be able to search by username, and you can't anymore. Ah, where was it? This is terrible, isn't it? This is a terrible intro, and I don't know why you guys are here. I wouldn't watch this, but I'm making it. Springs to mind. Hold on. Bear with me. I've got to find his comment. This one comment. I've already got like 50 to get through here today. But no, I need to find his one. What if I just run a search on the channel for the word Sylvari? That might bring something up. I think that's a good idea. Oh god, it's going to bring a lot up, but as long as it's newest first. Sylvari talk, Sylvari. Okay, this is a lot of messages. Ah, I found it. That was perfect. Look at that. All right. Okay, good. That'll be the last question we do today. Let me do this, and then this, and this, and then I put it in there. Okay, all right, we're good to go. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Yeah, so Mr. Modius's intro there, he updated it. Do you know what? I'm going to be a bit of a jerk. I'm going to be a bit annoying. I've actually been nervous to message him about this because I feel too demanding because they're already so amazing. But he made that one with the countdown, right? And I said, I don't like the countdown. Then I'm beholden to actually showing up exactly when it comes to 0. But now that we've got a new one that doesn't have a countdown, I'm kind of like, I sort of missed the countdown. I wonder if we could do a version where we have the login screen and the countdown at once. We can have it all. We can have it everything, guys. Yeah, I don't know. That could be fun, and I'll work up the courage to message him about that at some point in the future. Yeah, today's episode of Guild Wars 3 Daily, we're not going to discuss the idea of new playable races. What I want to do is I want to throw some comments up from yesterday's standalone video about the Arenanet philosophy stuff, because you guys had a lot of thoughts. There's kind of 2 big conversations happening there. You know, Arenanet have 4 major points. And I think 2 of them were uncontroversial. 2 of them have spurred a lot of discussion. One, of course, is about, is this thing really an MMO? Okay, what constitutes an MMO to you, dear viewer? Surely it's how massive it is, right? It's about that first M, isn't it? It's what makes it massively multiplayer rather than just multiplayer. If I have a Minecraft server with 150 people on it, you know what? That's every bit as big as Guild Wars 2's instances. It doesn't have a shared trading post with a bigger connected economy, but that's more massively multiplayer than like Guild Wars 1 ever meaningfully was, right? And then, of course, the question of world versus world in there as well. So that's one thing. The other thing is the subscription fee thing, which there's a lot of chit-chat about at the moment. I think it's all valid talk, I think, from both sides. So there's like a big comment chain on that video. Basically, I'm going to be a bit shameless here. I'm going to wholesale dump the whole goddamn thing, and we're going to talk through it. And I like the idea of us being a bit of a referee, a bit of an impartial sort of Weasley guy that just argues both ways, and then that way you guys don't get angry with me, you get angry with each other, which is always healthy for the community, isn't it? Right, that's not the right thing. So I think we are building towards some kind of big monetization video. I think to be honest, it should be a real essay. It should be something you actually think about and work with. But you know, we're in the slop era now, so I won't be doing that. Right, I need to also, by the way, for Dragon Bash, the last thing I need to do for Dragon Bash this year And we're finally out. Apparently we got all of the mep. Okay, the 3 takes us up. Boots is going to be cringing out of his skin here. I haven't done this for a year. All right, go easy on me. We only need silver, so we don't collect them. We have to use the auto. I just need to finish this adventure. Oh, that's not even one. Adventure pinatas. Okay, that overshot. Is this still set up that if you've recently mounted it, it comes across, it supercharges you and it moves you really quickly? But yeah, once we've done that, we can move on. I like Dragon... okay, Dragon Bash is my least favourite of all the festivals. Come on, let's be real. It was kind of tacked on at the end. It's alright, and I think the game's better for having it in it, but it doesn't feel very Guild Wars 3, does it? So I'll be glad to get out of this. I'm increasingly thinking this series should just be called Guild Wars Daily, because then I can more comfortably go to do the next dungeon in Reforged, right? We can have that as background footage, or we can do an episode showcasing that, and it still fits because it's Guild Wars Daily. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy about that. The way that this adventure is supposed to be done, and once the game's out, you know, we can continue going. If we haven't completely burnt ourselves out. The thing about this adventure is you're supposed to use the 3. Every time you break one of these things, you eat the candy inside. Did we get silver? We did. Oh, did we get gold? No. No, we only got bronze. Wow, that's a rare situation. This is how I think all adventures should be, though. All right, let's try that again. Every time you eat the candy... Oh, they're all up here as well. What the fuck? I didn't even realize that they were up here. I think in Boots' video, he just jumped off the cliff immediately. Oh, God, here comes the donation trains. Oh, God, guys. Listen, it's late in the day today. I'm not going to say the stream was late, but it's late in the day, and I have promised myself I'm not going to spend... this is not going to be a long episode. All right, and that's not bait to donate. I'm honestly saying that if you donate, we're going to be rushing through questions. We're going to lower the standard. But holy fuck, what is that? JB... I'm trying to do an adventure and read this. JBCF05 with $150. You are now officially the biggest donator, dude. That's insane. Thank you. He simply says tip for the new computer. He doesn't have a question. Ah, damn you. That's amazing. Oh, yeah, and when you use the 2, it auto breaks these things as well, doesn't it? That's another thing I should know. Dude, 150? That is the most in one lump sum anyone's done. That's crazy, man. Thank you so much. And by the way, though he has been outdone, I want to give a massive round of applause here to Winter Beardy as well, who's just donated 50 quid. 50 quid is not a small amount of money. It's amazing. We're about to go into a big discussion about subscription fees and microtransactions and all that kind of stuff. And it's... I know it's the Goomba fallacy, right? It's this weird thing where I see how generous you guys are. You guys are clearly all living it up, man. Look at this shit. But then I see like this ferocious argument about how Guild Wars should monetize its stuff. Winterbeardy, thank you for that 50 quid. My God. Hey, WP, I've enjoyed your content since I started playing in Heart of Thorns. Through the heights of POF, the lows of the Icebrood Saga. I can't believe we're all still here on the verge of a new adventure. Keep doing great things. Thank you, Winterbeardy. Thank you so much. And, you know, I'm glad to... I will continue to be here. I really like that we don't do a face cam because it feels like there's this, like, very strong continuity. You know, someone watching this right now won't be feeling that different to how people felt watching my HOT coverage, for example, or whatever, right? It's the same voice, same sort of shit. And I mean that in a loving way. All right, is the 2 ground targeted? Is that the point? I can actually... I need a better route. We've got to really try here. Let's bounce. Do this. Bounce over there. Bounce over there. Did we get it? No. That's fine, though. Okay, I'm getting the hang of it now. Over to that. Break it. Break it. I think going to the entrances of the lodges is always a good idea. And then we refresh our energy here. And then we go here, here. Can we get all the way up the list, please? Ah, she missed it. That's fine. Don't worry, I forgive you, Liz. Should I be using the 2 to jump to this? How many do we need for silver? 11, right? We've already got 11. How am I doing so much better this run than I was on the other runs? Because I'm actually using the skills, is that right? Eight seconds. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Do I gain seconds every time I break one? No. All right, there you go. There you go. Annual feats. 50 AP. You can't see it really behind this, but it does say that. We get 3 boxes. We get silver, gold, and we get the Blessed Bear Visage, allowing us to be a Coden, which of course is fairly well a lowland Coden, which is fairly well timed with the Guild Wars 3 announcement. Beautiful. There you go, guys. We've done Summer Game Fest. We've done Dragon Bash. The sort of silly things that we can do in the background now are done. The question is, do we go to Reforged on the next parts? For the rest of this one, I'll probably just do like a tour of Tyria. We'll go to Ore, something like that. We'll maybe look at some Orion areas, and that'll be the background footage for today's. These are effectively podcasters, so let's be real. Okay, so and we have another donation, a $10 donation here. Thank you, guys. You're very, very generous. I can't believe it, by the way. We're 20% of the way done with the goal. Look at that shit. We've just got £791. Effectively in 2 days. That's insane, guys. Oh my god, we just got an... Okay, hold on. Ben5234 says, Hi, honoring the daily commitment. It's going to get harder, but since you like questions, do you think there's room for an expansion of the Pantheon in Guild Wars 3, like a Forgotten Deity or Counter-Pantheons? Absolutely yes. I 100% think that there's space for that. I think that when we get into Guild Wars 3, if these are characters that are actually hanging around near us, with us, if they have any kind of role in the story, they don't even need a prominent role in the story. They can be kind of distant, right? They can be more distant than, say, Jenna is to this story, right? But if they're around, I think that they need to go crazy with the world building, and they need to expand on this stuff and talk a lot more. I think they're world builders, they're writers. I don't know who it is there at the moment that's like initiated this, but I honestly think that Secrets of the Obscure and Janthir Wilds and Visions of Eternity, to a slightly lesser extent Visions of Eternity, but Secrets of the Obscure and Janthir Wilds were excellent for being expansive on the lore. They talked about so much stuff. All the written lore, particularly, you find around those maps, I cannot stress enough, has been really, really good. All of you lapsed Boomerang players that are sort of looking at the franchise again, and you're sort of wondering how into it to be, you're a bit nervous because of Dragonstorm and certain other elements. I will emphatically promise you that modern Arenanet work, when it comes to actual world building and understanding the setting and expanding on the setting and creating a cohesive setting between GW1 and 2, is really good. They're very passionate about expanding things and making this feel like a big, open, interesting world to go and explore post Elder Dragons. I think they've done very well with the mini X packs. I have to believe, and I know that they're not necessarily the same team, so we have all of that rolling around, but I have to believe that they'll do the same for Guild Wars 3, except all around Ore and the gods and all those little points of interest and stuff. Hopefully they do big things with. But my point is, like, Balthazar, surely they'll talk more about Menzies. Surely. But Abaddon, maybe they'll talk about his dead children. Maybe they'll talk about Arachnia, right? Like, a lot of these ideas, some, like, the dead children thing is more of a Data Mind Nightfall thing, and I don't really know the canonicity of that. Some small bell is ringing in the back of my mind that maybe they canonized it at some point in recent years. But the point I'm trying to make is there's a lot of stuff around these characters. What about Dwayna? Why is she the leader? Why is Melanju the oldest? And what are their family structures, you know? The only one that I don't want to see them be very concrete about is Lissa. If I was there, if I was world building for them, if I were writing the story, I would go hog wild on details about the other gods and like more scriptures and more, you know, facets to them. I'd really flesh them all out, except Lissa. I'd give you basically nothing about Lissa. Lissa to me is, and she would be enigmatic and weird and like she doesn't quite fit, and it's like, what the fuck is this entity? And you would have no idea really whether she's a friend or a foe, or she's self-interested or selfless. I want Lissa to be the ultimate wild card, weird question mark. She's the Tom Bombadil of the Pantheon, and that is how I would treat Lissa. I wouldn't try to put anything concrete for her, and that's what makes her special and captivating and fun, and I would never fuck with that. I don't know whether Arenanet will do such things or they think they have more fun other ideas. But yeah, I think they'll expand on all that stuff. And thank you very much for the $10. And yeah, it will get harder, but for now, I feel completely overwhelmed with things I want to do. I want to do the blog post series about Guild Wars 2 Press. I want to do Reforged stuff. By the way, guys, my draft has been accepted. 100% confirmed. Reforged interview tomorrow. Unless I wake up and find that Arenanet themselves have done some big news, in which case I'm gonna pick a day where they're not covering something. So we will see. But yeah, I am now completely at liberty to upload the interview whenever I like. And yeah, that should be pretty cool. Could have done it today. There will still be a Guild Wars 3 daily episode on that day, though, by the way. So you guys will be feasting whenever I pick that. But yeah, right now I just feel overwhelmed. There's so much to do, so many fun topics, so much to talk about. And as long as we're getting the comments and people are watching, I mean, I'd love to keep doing it. You know, I want to cover other games. I have other passions, and I've struggled with that for years and years and years and years. But, you know, the truth is, making videos where people are watching and donating and being really generous, and we're all interested in it, and they're not boring conversations. We're all on the same page. You can't beat that, you know. So yeah, I'm feeling good and strong about it right now. Granted, we are only on day 11 out of potentially, what, day 800? But what is that? You know, we're 1% done already. Chronic Demise has come in with $151 donation. So he takes the leaderboard now. That is unbelievable. You have just screwed over JBC F05. We're all going to forget all about JBC F05 now. And the kudos and the warm fuzzy feelings he had from doing that big donation, you've just trampled on, you've destroyed. How do you feel, you monster? Holy shit, man. What is this? What the fuck? Do you guys realise just between you two, you've just like matched what we earned on like yesterday's stream? Just between you two in the first couple of seconds. Do you two understand what you've just done? That's fucking insane. He says, now I'm the biggest donation with a cowboy face. You've been watching since the beginning? Question mark. You can't stay a lurker forever. Oh, we have a long-term lurker. See, I'm cynical when people say that. I seriously doubt you've been watching from the start. I'm sorry. But I had, like, no viewers for a long time covering Guild Wars 1. I had done, what, like... How many episodes is my Prophecy series? In any case, that's very, very cool. I suppose you're still considered the beginning if you got there in Nightfall or Eye of the North or something. Or the War in Kryta coverage. But that's amazing, man. Thank you very, very, very much. And hey, listen, I'm a lurker too. I'm a lurker. I really am. I don't post in people's channels. I don't engage in people's discords. I don't use the YouTube comments. I'm a dirty, stinking hypocrite. I run a YouTube channel. I encourage people to drop comments. I'm encouraging you guys right now to give me questions and to be in the live chat, and I just don't do that shit myself. I will sometimes clown around in a very, very, like, you know, like an official Guild Wars 2 stream. You might see one of my messages fly by, but the reality is I'm a lurker through and through. There are very, 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 very few communities I've ever actually started typing messages in. I don't know, man. That's just sort of my nature. I think I am a genuine introvert in as much as I don't really get that much out of it. But, you know, I appreciate most of the world do, and I'm eternally grateful for you all. You have saved our lives. I'm eternally grateful. We have another little one here as well from Serpsy Costi 11 with $5. Thank you. Love your daily videos. Thank you. You left Guild Wars for WoW because the store seemed to be the main reward system. Ooh, that's interesting. I'm back to Guild Wars as Arenanet will support all 3 games. Ah, you're actually you're an ex Guild Wars 2 player who left, and your primary reason for leaving was the gem store. I wonder how many people are out there like you, because the big argument's going on at the moment. I think that one of those camps likes to pretend people like you don't exist. And we'll get into that in a second. Furthest back you can recall is TV showcasing the coverage. It's so weird that people say that to me, because that was a very brief... Like, I mentioned that a few days ago. That was a very brief moment, like, buried at the end of a podcast. The clip wasn't very good. It was me and Mike in a jumping puzzle. And it was sandwiched between a bunch of other content creator recommendations from the other people on the podcast. So it blows my mind that anyone started watching at that point. Now, I followed the metrics closely back then. And I have to be honest, I don't really remember there being an influx of people at that point. Reddit was always the big thing. If someone, I never posted my own stuff to Reddit ever. I was always completely reliant on the community. And I just, you know, I didn't expect anything. And if nice things happened, then that was lovely. And I tried not to artificially push it or anything. But if someone put a Reddit thread up, that you could really feel that affected the channel. Maybe that's still true these days. I don't know. What you guys might not know is if you actually, I don't know whether this website exists, whether the data exists anywhere. But Guild Wars 2 as an MMO was kind of growing and establishing as Reddit as a platform was blowing up and establishing. Reddit technically existed a few years prior, but it was very small. It was simmering in the background. And these two were kind of growing at the same time. And for a long time, I don't know whether you can find the stats, but so I might be wrong, right? Because I don't have evidence for you. But my memory of the situation is that the Guild Wars 2 subreddit, for a long time, I'm not talking just a month or something, but for a long time, the Guild Wars 2 subreddit was one of the biggest subreddits on the entire website. One of the biggest websites, not just in all gaming, out of all gaming subreddits, all the existing MMOs and other games and stuff, Guild Wars 2 was like a huge, huge subreddit. It was very, 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 very big. And nowadays, obviously, it's been eclipsed and, you know, we've seen a lot of change. But it's funny looking back at that. I remember in 2011, I had a badge on my YouTube channel. I still have a screenshot of it. I had it was my old YouTube channel page on the old layout, and I had a little award just because I was covering Guild Wars 2. I had an award on my channel page that said, "Congratulations, WoodenPotatoes. You are one of the top 100 creators in the UK." Out of everyone, you know, all these brilliant YouTubers that were well established by that point for a long time, big, like real YouTubers, like people like Tom Scott and shit, right? And my channel broke into the top 100 just for doing like fucking random Guild Wars 2 videos. That's how big the hype was for Guild Wars 2. That's how big it was proportionate to the rest of the internet and some of these social media websites. I really want to give you guys an impression of how big the hype was for this game. You know, when I talk about it being the WoW killer, when I show you the Google Trends with that massive spike, like it's not a fucking little thing. It's not a small joke. It was a huge, hugely anticipated product. And to be a little bit of a Debbie here, Guild Wars 3 won't reach those heights. There's just no way. The industry's changed. The Arenanet's position within the industry has changed. It was quite an extraordinary time. It really was. You love Tom Scott? I haven't watched Tom Scott for a long time, but you know. What's your take on the facets? I think they showed a few of them in the video. It was the facet of death and something else. Was it? Hey? Hello? They showed the facets off? Alright, let's get into the comments, guys, because seriously, that's half an hour. How have we blown half an hour already? Welcome. Hi. Right, let's do it. Okay, there's some real internet fights going on here now as we move into ore. That's not the correct thing. Okay, so first of all, just a little update for you as well. What's this? I hear you ask. What are we looking at here? I'm doing a weird thing with today's stream. You guys, please tell me if there's any issues. And there's a new button I can click, and it says to like dual stream. And I know what you're all thinking. Oh, you're gonna appear on Twitch? No. This is for like. It will now push this series to shorts. Are live stream shorts a thing? Isn't a live stream the complete opposite of a short? So I don't know how that works, but you can see that they've got a little preview of the, what is the aspect ratio for a phone? It's not 16:9, is it 9:16? It's not even, is it? It's something else. I don't know what, anyway, you can see that's a phone. So is anyone watching this on Shorts at the moment? Is it showing up on Shorts feed? I'd be very curious to hear about that. Unbait got baited. Yeah, look, we will deal with Twitch, okay? For now, I'm just focusing on the content. That's kind of always been the thing. I'm not very good at emotes and platforms and cynically sitting there like some fucking corpo manipulating a market. And I actually disdain people who think that way. But yeah, so I don't know. Some phones are taller or shorter. Oh, okay, so they're not always the same. 9:10 or 10:16. Yeah, I mean, YouTube literally calls this dual streaming, just by the way. So I clicked that on, but I think it's specifically to do with the mobile thing. Just let me know if you guys see it. Oh, right, okay. The Traherne theory. Don't let me forget. Okay, here's your little WoodenPotatoes theory, okay? I've platformed a lot of cool little ideas lately, but they're often coming from other people. Here's one entirely from me. Ready? It's about the idea of a tree in ore, which you can tell I've been falling in love with as an idea over the past 5 days. We talked about the idea that the seeds might have been cleansed in the artesian waters, just as Traherne ultimately cleansed ore of dragon corruption utilizing the artesian waters, right? There's some commonality there. But let's look at Traherne a little bit more closely. Just bear with me for a second, and let's assume that there really was a tree at some point in ore, okay? There was a dream in ore. There were Silvari in ore. And now, in the last part, we talked about the idea that maybe, you know, there's no sign that the dreams are connected, right? But let's suggest that there is some level of empathy there. There is somewhere deep down in the dark, deep recesses of the dream, maybe there is a subtle connection to the other blighting trees or something. And there's not really any evidence for this, except the fact that Silvaria, you kind of have this weird empathetic communion with all plant matter. So if there's one tree and another tree, you know, why not, right? Let's assume, right? Let's assume that these seeds, in some way, they're all seeds from the same crop or whatever, they're twinsies or whatever. I don't know how that works exactly. Plant reproduction, how does it work, right? They're all seeds from the same batch. Ronan planted one in the year of our Lord, 1256 or whatever it is. Maybe one of those other seeds had been planted in ore a long time ago. Let's just bear with me there for a second. I really like thinking about Traherne. Isn't it interesting that a tree just existed in ore, died, a new tree was finally born 1,200 years later, and the first Silvari that came from it were the firstborn, and the first of the firstborn, literally the very first Silvari to pop out of the new tree. What did the dream compel that Silvari to do? What was his wild hunt? Where did he end up spending his years wasting away? Was it to fight the Elder Dragons? Was that Traherne's wild hunt? No, it wasn't. He was drawn to ore. He was always interested in ore and cleansing ore and restoring ore, and he had this like profound sense of, I've got to get back to ore. I've got to get to ore. I have to help ore. I think that's a really cool connection. If there really was a tree there, I don't know. I think that could be, if we're reading it right, like the idea that there's another pale tree or something. I think the fact that the first of the firstborn obsessed over this place and cleansing this place is pretty cool, and there's a fun little connection, and I would be quite happy to see that. So anyway, that's my little thought. I thought that was quite good. So we'll see. All right, that's it for the Silvari today. No, it's actually not. I have a comment from one of you guys. Okay, 17 messages. Let's get through it, everybody. You are the weakest link. We have another edition of Guild Wars 3 Bingo. All right. The more editions come out, the more I'm going to nitpick these. First of all, shouldn't there be like loads of categories and you randomly roll, not just for the positions that you get, but the numbers, so to speak, you get? Anyway, this one's pretty good. You got the word titbit in there. You got big donation, no question in there. That's good. Gods, I was strong then. Do I quote Robert Baratheon that often? I definitely do it sometimes. Door, I still think is bad. It's too topical. That's you guys talking about the door. I'm done with the door, right? I'm ready to forget about closing the door. I'm ready to experience another house fire where I panic and freak out and smog the place out, okay? I'm ready for it. No, of course I'm not. But hopefully I'll never have to deal with another house fire. John Seller's gift, that's a good one. And remember, it's not, these shouldn't be appearing every stream, but many streams. Accidental Kink, that's a good one. Debbie is a good one. She definitely shows up a lot. WP dismisses someone's lore interpretation, that's also a good one. Pay Piggies, I don't know whether I believe in still. I think that's a bit topical, and I'm really nervous that in like 2 weeks I'm going to see like, I'm going to be browsing gentleman's literature and I'm going to see them using that term in there or something, and it's going to be really debauched, and I'm going to be like, oh shit, I shouldn't have been talking about this on stream. We will see. No, I don't look at gentleman's literature. WP feels slighted by the bingo card. Oh god, I didn't read that. Damn. I get annoyed at a YouTube comment. Now, unfortunately, that's very good. That's a very good one. I don't like being annoyed. I don't like being argumentative. All right, we're all one, guys. We're all on the same team. We're all together, all right? We all just want what's best for the franchise. And yeah, I do get annoyed with you, and I do tilt. Interrupted by a donut. I don't know if that's really right on YouTube, especially. I don't have overlays going on the screen. I'm completely at my own leisure to read these donations, and I've quite liked the flow of that. Hobby chat. That's probably a good one. What hobby chat do I have for you today? I did have something. What was I doing earlier that I was going to talk to you? I can't remember. It might show up in a minute. Yearning takes over an hour to get into the daily topic. And I don't play or mention Turtle. Yeah, I have seen some drive-by messages about this. I will get to that in a second. Right, so there you go. So good luck on your bingo, guys. I don't know how you're doing already. Right, what do we got? Oh, this is wrong. This is not... this is not a Guild Wars 3 question. Let's move on from this. Oh, you guys are going to be curious. This is... I was talking to Kerry about this earlier. She linked me a thing from a mobile. It was like... there's a thread in that anti-work subreddit. Or I can't get into this. This is going to be a big thing. There's a thread in the anti-work subreddit of a guy who puts a message up and he's really salty about the fact he just got fired. His company is about compassion in hospitals or something. It's like compassion with health. Anyway, this guy got hired like May 26th or something. And he was supposed to complete training, but on May 27th, and he went in for his first day. But on like it was like April 26th or something. On his first day, his dad got diagnosed with some terminal cancer. No. His dad already had it, and basically his father passed away, right? And, I think, no, he didn't pass away, did he? Anyway, he basically said to his job, I can't work now. I'm too mentally distressed by this. I'm too upset. And the job said, yeah, okay, no worries. And they said, okay, just do the next course for your training, like 2 weeks from now. And so he said, okay. And he took like 2 weeks off. And then they said, okay, you ready to train now? And he said, yes. And he went into work. And then he turned around and said, no, I'm not ready. And he stopped again. And they said, no worries, we'll give you training again. And then he waited like another 10 days. And then he went in for training again. And they said, okay, you ready? And he did like 1 day. And then he said, oh, no, I can't again. Sorry. And then after like the 4th time of this, after like 6, 7, 8 weeks, the job finally said, look, sorry, there's no end in sight to this. This is a risk to the business. We've got a position to fill. You know, people are working hard to fill your slot. It's not a charity. It is a business. We're sorry. We've got to let you go. And anyway, he put this big post on Reddit about how he'd been screwed over and how they weren't compassionate about his bereavement and blah, 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 blah. And me and Kerry were just talking about how the anti-work people, in our opinion, were being a bit insane about that. You know, like, it would be one thing if the guy had worked there for 10 years and now they were just firing him over a bereavement. But at the end of the day, he only just started. They don't have a massive obligation to them. He doesn't have a huge epic gap on his CV because of them. He hasn't invested, you know, loads of time and energy and emotion into that job and into training in that job. He hasn't even finished doing the training. He's barely been there. And as far as the post made it sound like, they've been paying him through the entire time. But at some point, they have to ask themselves, is this guy just flaking out on us or not? He doesn't seem to be getting any better. Also, if he had just said initially, okay, I'm going to need 2 months to get over this. Can you hold the position for me? They might have said yes. But telling them that you're going to do it and then not having it, and then saying you're going to do it and then not having it, that's, you know, that's a no-no. Just be honest, you know. It's like if you think you're going to be late to an appointment, you just tell them that you're going to be late and overshoot. Stop with this undershooting best guesses stuff. But the anti-work subreddit was furious. They were all like wanking this guy off. Oh, fuck everybody. And it was just a bit mental. There you go. That's got nothing to do with Guild Wars 3. And I'm sure someone out there is infuriated that I'm a corpo bootlicker there. But it seemed very out of touch to me, the people in that comment. You had to really wade into that thread. You had to like sort by controversial to get any kind of rational conversation going. Which is what that comment was. I didn't even read it out loud. Yeah, and here in the comment, and I'm not a fan of corporate, but in this instance, I have to say they did their best to accommodate you, someone says, which I agree with. And the response was, don't ever be in charge of people, please. Oof. So I don't know. There you go. A bit of a moral dilemma for the modern Redditor. What do we think? Look out, a moth. Oh, I let the moth out. Yeah, little moth update. Thank you, Rocker, for the €2. I let the moth out. I coaxed it out. I basically went over to my wardrobe rack and I banged it so that everything shook and it came flying out. But I did it once the sun came up and there were no other lights and the window was already open. And it immediately flew to the window. And then after a while of buzzing against it, it found the actual open bit. And there we go. WoodenPotatoes. The WP Moral Dilemma Daily. Do you know what? I'm such a fucking loser. I actually love the idea of that. Right, seriously, Guild Wars 3 Daily. Here we go. All right. Osiris, I don't want to get too pedantic with them. Some of these are screenshots I put in the Spud Discord because we were discussing earlier. I don't want to be too pedantic with them, but the yearly expansions are essentially an annual battle pass, Osiris says. I guess they would argue you can buy the expansions when ready versus missing out on the battle pass. Maybe it doesn't matter. I'm just worried they're going to talk themselves into criticism. What do we think of this? I'm kind of looking at you guys in the comments now and the live chat now. What do we think of Osiris saying that? Are Guild Wars 2 yearly expansions essentially annual battle passes? This, as someone said in Spud, this kind of gets into the weeds of like, how are we defining things? And the games industry has a real I guess many industries have this problem, to be honest. This is just how language works, right? The linguist in me recognizes this as just... Things don't really get codified very well for a long time. So we're using the word battle pass, and that can even come down to what a genre is, right? So let me just ask you this. What the fuck is a battle pass? So it strikes me in Arenanet's philosophy video, what they're really saying at the deepest level, what are they really trying to say to us? They're trying to say that we don't want you to feel like you have to continually pay real-world money to continue having fun. Fundamentally, that's the demon we're trying to slay, isn't it? Or is it? Because their business model is to ask you to continue paying money. So what are we tackling here? Are we tackling FOMO? Are we tackling pay to skip? Because people who pay... What's wrong... As far as I know about battle passes, right? There's only two things wrong with battle passes. One, pay to skip, pay to accelerate, right? And it feels really... So, for example, I was saying in the Spud Discord, when I was playing Halo Infinite 2-3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago now. Oh, fuck. Why does time move so fast? When I was playing Halo Infinite, their, like, battle pass, their seasons really fucking annoyed me because I had to put in so many games. And, like... I progressed through a bit slower than people who put money in. They straight up just meant I didn't get certain rewards. It was really annoying. So what do we not like? We don't like the acceleration from payment. We don't like that certain cosmetics are unique. We don't like the fear of missing out, which Deep Rock Galactic solves, right? By letting you toggle into previous seasons. I don't know. It's like there's all these different things and people are frustrated in different ways. I have to be honest. Now, I haven't played this for 6 or 7 years, but last time I was playing League of Legends a lot. League of Legends is like the scariest game in the world to me because I actually think it's the best game ever made. And I get incredibly addicted to it and I basically can't touch the fucking thing. Maybe 5 or 6 years ago was the last time I was playing it. Maybe a little bit less. 4 or 5 years ago. I remember there was a Teemo skin that came out. Like a Spirit Teemo skin or some shit, and I paid for like a battle pass thing for that, where like you bought the skin and you got the base one, but if you had the battle pass and you leveled or something, you got like a really fancy spiritual version. Do you guys know what I'm talking about with that? And I liked that. I like the League seasons or battle passes or whatever they call, but do they use that name? I have to do a lot of like introspection to figure out why I like some of these things and why I don't like others. I think that the Fallout First thing's alright as well, where you get like the little game board that you progress through or whatever. It's... To be honest, I'm a little bit disappointed in Arenanet's communication here because I think it's far too thin on a lot of these details. So someone said in Spud, like, you can't say a yearly expansion is a battle pass because yearly expansions, you're buying content. You're not buying skins and cosmetics and stuff. You're buying content, which I think is totally fair. At that point, you may as well call a fucking buying a box a battle pass. You know, money is coming out of your pocket at some point. So we really have to define our terms and figure out what we mean when we start making our arguments. But that mentioned that paying for... To look at the yearly annual X-Packs, just to be devil's advocate here for a second with you all. Can I make a weird argument to you? Maybe, is this a weird argument? You're Arenanet. You believe in monetization as an optional thing. You believe in you believe in the ongoing costs to the player base as optional, right? As much as possible. Is that right? You believe that they should be optional. People should be able to get in and have fun without regular payments. If that's the argument, annual expansions are actually terrible. Because they're not optional at all, really. That's literally gating the content and the story and the new build craft and the places where all the players are congregating to and new opportunities in the in-game economy and all that shit behind a paywall. Isn't that more against their philosophy than a strict battle pass that only ever gives you skins? I'm being devil's advocate there, but I think that's a really strong argument. I don't know how you can argue around that. But we all accept the fact that we pay a box fee every year. Don't we? We've all been happy with it. No, I mean, I do have a friend who I know, he says that's too rich for my blood. And the quality's not there, so no, I'm not paying for it. I know that. And again, we're all, you know, some of us have jobs that are paying better than others. Some of us don't have jobs and blah, 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 blah. So that muddies this as well. But I think there's a lot to chew on with this shit, man. There's a donation there from Aggie. Thank you so much. $50. First time I've been able to watch your stream live. Been a long time watcher since the Vanilla Guild Wars 2 days. What would you love to see for the new ore map? We're meant to be getting in Guild Wars 2. I want to see something very cool with the Hall of Monuments, which I will discuss in an upcoming video. I want to see Zaitan's body. I want to be able to find another Giganticus Lupicus, or at least the body. I want to see the corpse of Ogravos the Moon Death. I want to go to the Heaven Crystal Palace and all those, basically all the fucking badass things that were in Ra story mode. You know, I want to go to the wreckage of the Lady Livia and hear about why it's named that and have Livia actually show up in the story and talk about that. That was a big point of excitement for me. I want to see trees and things growing there. I want to go to that area with the batteries for the Mouth of Mordramoth, and clearly those were those 6 rooms that felt like they were to do with the gods, but the personal story never touched on. I want to see something to do with Traherne and the Artesian Waters. I want to see more scriptures of the gods. I want to see another meta event in which we fight maybe another Lupicus. So much. So fucking much. That map, like, you can't blink without cool ideas. You can't move anywhere without fun shit. And Arenanet, I'll be disappointed if you don't go big with that map. You've got so much opportunity, so much choice, so many fun places to go. This will be the coolest map you have added since, like, Dragonfall, possibly. This is a big one. That's how I feel on that. The inventory restrictions push Fallout for online first really bad. You're right about that. And I talked about that in a recent episode. It seems to be with all these monetization systems, there is some kind of like nasty little catch in there somewhere. Anyway, speaking of monetization systems, let's keep rolling. We have a neutral Ned here as well. This is Osiris again, but neutral Ned. Now that's a term we should utilize. I will try my best to be neutral Neddy. I will channel the inner Flanders. I don't really have much Flanders in me, I don't think, but I'll try, okay? Other than our commitment video, all of their communications have been restating the same things across blogs, videos, articles, which Colin admits to at the end because they're trying to spread things out over time. Yeah, there's a weird thing going on here. I only really picked this because of the neutral Ned thing, but there's a weird thing going on at the moment, I think, where I'm starting to see comments from you guys saying stuff to the effect of, oh, they're going on and on and on and on and on about it. Maybe I'm not Zoomer-brained enough. Maybe I don't have enough ADD in me. But as far as I can make out, they've done one trailer, one short-form video And 1 post. That's it. What do you mean they're going on and on? If we're already at that point, I mean, will you guys chill out? I think we're going to hear it a lot more, and I think there's a lot more clarification to come. But yeah, I don't know. I'm interested in seeing those comments. All right, here we go. This is Sean. Sean's an old friend of mine. He's a big RuneScape player. He's often encouraged me to play RuneScape. And he created quite the comment chain. So I'm just going to be a referee, guys. Okay? And I want us all to feel comfortable with taking either position here. Let's see what Sean says. I think he's gone a bit reactionary with some of these bits. Talking about fucking Trump in the response. But if we gloss past that, I think he makes some reasonable arguments. Let's get into it. He says, I get aggressively downvoted and ridiculed when I point out that pay for convenience items and extremely flashy skins and the rest of the gem store is worse than a subscription fee. Predatory, fear of missing out, and being able to buy gold are just fucking bad. I think he's wrong already, by the way. I hate that word, predatory. I hate that word. Right, in terms of like free market mindset, in some respects, I'm a bit libertarian. I mean, not too much, but I do tend to think, right, when it comes to video games, I am, right? Okay, I think we all... Here's why I fucking hate the word predatory, all right? We are in the entertainment industry, all right? We're talking about video games. We're talking about knowing, willing consumers and buyers, customers that are choosing to spend money on what they want, right? I think we can talk about predatory practices when we get to gambling and when we deal with other industries, right? When we talk about the insurance industry, and then we can start talking about predatory behavior. But at the end of the day, I know we can all spin ourselves into a frenzy on this shit, but have some context here. We're talking about video games. We're talking about the entertainment industry. I do not believe anyone has ever been predated upon because they were encouraged to spend more money in a video game than they otherwise would have been, all right? And I do believe in consumer accountability. If you spent £200 on the gem store and ended up regretting it, I'm sorry. You knew it was an entertainment product. You knew it was a video game. That's on you. And I hate the word predatory. And gamers love talking in predatory terms. I think that's a very, very precise thing. I think it's a hysterical thing. I hate the language. I always have. Anyway. So I disagree with Sean immediately there, but whatever. He says, Arenanet that says that respecting players' time... And also, on the fear of missing out thing, what do we think about Arenanet for that? You know, the Wizards Vault certainly gives you all the old seasons. There is fear of missing out in the gem store, but they bring stuff back. I don't know. Arenanet says that respects it... Sorry, what's this in the chat? I have no fear of missing out because he has the time to play the game that he won't miss out. His job's to play the game. All right, I know. I think it's logical that you would say that, and you would think that. I'm going to be very, very, very honest with you, right? I have never really given much of a fuck about Black Lion Gem Store skins, or capes, or mounts, or skiffs, or fishing rods. The only reason I care about any of that is because of automatic wardrobe unlockers and the idea of having everything collected. I am not passionate about the gem store cosmetics. I'm not. And so this fear of missing out thing, right? I don't give a fuck if some amazing... okay, so this item I have in my inventory, right? What is it? Oh, the game's crashed. I need a new PC. The game has crashed. What is this? Hello, Guild Wars. I'm trying to make a point, a very serious point. Oh, we're dead. RIP Guild Wars 2. Okay, so in my inventory, I have this thing, the Accelerationist Edge or something. You guys saw me on an episode of Visions of Eternity get that from a Black Lion chest. You saw me collect it. And you heard me talk about collecting it. I said, oh, this would be fun to get. And we opened the chest and we got it. And I said, oh, yay. If I hadn't got it, I wouldn't have been that pissed. In fact, I had used keys earlier on those same chests and didn't get it. And I wasn't that pissed. I don't really care. I'm not that into the fashion. And maybe this is just because I'm not into the fashion side of things, right? But that's the honest truth, why I don't really give a fuck about fear of missing out. If something badass appears on here, I don't shit myself and think, oh, I've never shat myself and thought I have to get that immediately. Probably the closest I ever came to that was because of the wing, the very first wings, the very first white wings or something. And then didn't they do a black version? And we knew because the white ones had gone away that the black ones might. And I might have felt it a bit there. But I've never felt that was predatory, and I've never cared that much. And that's the reason I don't care. It's not because I have all the time in the world to play the game. And the thing is, right, like, even if I do play the game a lot, and I do, I don't spend all that time farming and grinding for gold and gems and desperately thinking about the gem store. I must get this, must get... You know, I was vaguely interested in the first Flame and Frost Black Lion set, but since I just... My opinion, and especially in recent years, my opinion with Guild Wars 2 is that I already have billions of amazing skins. I don't give a fuck. I really don't. That's the truth. That's why I don't feel fear of missing out in this game. Because it's sort of... It's more on an economic basis if I care about a fear of missing out. Like, I'd like to get the Black Lion skins just so that I don't have to pay 2 tickets for them instead of 1, right? Or I spend less astral acclaim. But that's just a sort of... That's like being time economical. That means I don't have to play so much of the game. So that's where I'm at with the game. And I promise I really don't care that much about this stuff. If I cared about this stuff, can I just point out what's a staple of a lot of content creators, Guild Wars content creators over the years? What do you see most of them do? They do gem store reviews, Black Lion chest reviews. They do video showcases on gliders and Black Lion weapon sets when they come out. And people greedily watch those videos. I've never made those videos, and I've never watched those videos outside of it just, oh, that's interesting. This is content people watch. Because to me, it's just like I kind of abhor that stuff, really. To me, I want to feel like I'm playing a game, not a shop that uses a game to encourage me to keep coming back in the door, right? And when you look at a game like Fallout, where they put so much UI effort into the shop, and Fallout stops being ironic with its comments and critique on anti-consumerism and actually just starts using it, right? Where you have like the store music in their store and it's actually relaxing you like you would in the supermarket, so you spend more time browsing. I'm not that kind of player. I'm not that kind of person. And that's the honest truth about it. It's not about the hours I put into this game. I just don't really care that much. So yes, when Sean says here, predatory fear of missing out, I don't agree. I've never felt it. But again, I'm trying to be I'm not trying to talk about me right now. You know, that message just came in the live chat about me. I'm trying to just, you know, I get that other people feel that way. So we'll take it as read, right? People say that. So let's move on. Arenanet says that respecting players' time, and I think Sean has a great point here. Listen to this. Arenanet says that respecting players' time is important, but you cannot respect players' time and also sell convenience quality of life on the fucking cash shop. They are mutually exclusive. Are they fully mutually exclusive? Or are there degrees of severity here? Can I respect your time while also holding a little something back? If Guild Wars 3 strikes a better balance of how many bag slots you need, and how do we even go about quantifying that? But if they do, are they not respecting my time? The question is, how pushy do they want you to be to get these quality QOL things, right? But I think he has a point. They are exclusive to a degree, right? I mean, they are. He said, so sorry, I need to stop offering my commentary. I'm just going to read this because there's a lot to read, guys. Just see what you think as this goes. But I get eternally roasted on the subreddit. I wonder if he means GW2 or GW1. Okay, I'll stop. For voicing this opinion, because those people are rabid about how not pay-to-win Guild Wars 2 is. It feels like I'm arguing with Trump supporters sometimes, but I'm the one getting downvoted like a Trump supporter. They will defend their billion-dollar company to the death because they don't charge a sub fee. Okay, Arenanet is not a billion-dollar company. Is NCSoft even a billion-dollar company? Arenanet don't earn much money. That's kind of the point, by the way. Why is WoodenPotatoes talking about this so much? I'm talking about this because I don't want to feel like they're getting screwed out of cash. I want to feel like Arenanet has money, has talent, and is growing, so that, you know, that our whole community grows, but so that I get quality shit to play. I will accept a sub fee. I will accept a box price. I will accept microtransactions if you prove to me I'm getting quality shit to play. And if I'm not getting quality shit to play, I have two things to blame. Their internal management, which is a dead end because I don't know what I'm talking about, and neither do you, dear viewer. You know, when we talk about their products that never got out the door or whatever. So there's a dead end. The other thing we can talk about is they need more money. So that's where I'm coming at this from. I'm not coming at this from a perspective of Arenanet are greedy and they've got loads of money and we need to give them less. That's the last thing I want to suggest. Anyway, Sean says it's the same shit. And all Arenanet did was allow people to give them even more money. Sorry. He says a sub fee and no cash shop is the healthiest way for the game to exist. It is the most respectful of players' time, in his opinion. This idea that you pay $15 and suddenly you have absolutely no choice but to play said game and nothing else is absolutely ridiculous. The same people will wail in the cash shop and for some reason feel like they don't have to play the game. I think he has a good point here as well. There's a lot of people who pay thousands and they don't even put that game hours in necessarily. A lot of the time they're paying thousands because they don't put the hours in. I don't know, and I don't like that argument that people make, that just because there's a sub fee, you feel shackled to the game. Sorry, but I do find a lot of that hysterical. It's not hard to cancel a sub. And I get it, everyone's got their hands in our pockets. Everyone. I've got my hand in your pocket, alright? Look, I'm trying to be honest and fair about this. I, WoodenPotatoes, have my hand in your pocket. I'm asking you to go to Patreon, right? That's a sub I'm asking you guys to pay to me. You don't even get much value out of me. I'm not giving you a video game to play. I'm giving you this shit. And I get it. We're tired of subs, right? I get it. And I understand that the industry's moved away from them. But I don't think a sub is predatory. And I've paid subs for games before. And I haven't felt miserable and shackled. You know, I've turned off and re-upped my FF14 sub multiple times over the years. The only time that's ever got complicated with me in the case of 14 is when it came to getting a house. And it was like, okay, I'm going to have to give up the house. And that's kind of a separate topic. An in-game house. I didn't have to give up a Final Fantasy 14 sub fee to be able to afford my mortgage. I don't have a mortgage. That would be funny. Yeah, so I don't know. I think that's overblown. But again, it gets into individuals. I'm not allowed to say that's overblown. If someone really has no money, if they're like a kid and they have absolutely no income and a $10 a month thing or whatever seems bad. There's also, we're getting into some like macroeconomic shit here as well, guys. Because you know how the world is running? Do you know what the actual economy is running on these days? And far be it from me to really talk about this shit. I'm not educated for this. Right, but I'm pretty sure what I'm about to say is very uncontroversial, right? How are 90% of companies out there funded? I'm not talking about video games. I'm talking about across the West, at the very least, right? What is sustaining all these companies across all these sectors? It's subscription fees that consumers forget to cancel. How are gyms earning their money? They're getting you into the gym, they're getting you to pay a sub fee, and then when you get bored of the health kick, you feel ashamed to cancel, you forget to cancel, and you keep paying for another year or two before you finally give up. It's the same in a huge number of industries. You're paying for insurance, you're paying for some fee, for something. You know, like I'll give you a good example. I used to love the game geocaching. Does anyone know about geocaching? I have a geocaching premium membership that I haven't cancelled for I haven't geocached for at least 2 years. And I haven't cancelled it for 2 years. I haven't used that. I have given that company money for 2 years that I forgot, right? And this is a big thing about how... This is why people like subscription fees, because people put them on and they forget, right? And again, that was up to you as a consumer to make that decision. The onus isn't on the company. This is how the world works. We can't talk about that in predatory terms, in my opinion. But so when it comes to, like, video games, you know, it's the same thing. There will be people watching this right now who are paying for a World of Warcraft subscription that haven't logged into WoW for ages, but they're just keeping it going because there's no sweat off of their back. That's where these companies earn their money. That's where they find this safe, steady baseline. And there's just this weird thing going on with the Guild Wars community where we feel like, I don't know, that's... I mean, look, the reality is the devs themselves have said, Colin Johansson has said, very plain English, we're not doing this shit, right? So let's keep that in mind. Anyway, back to Sean. I have to stop interrupting. I have to. A sub fee and no cash shop, he says, is the healthiest way for the game to exist. The same people will whale in the cash shop and for some reason feel like they don't have to play the game. It's the same shit, and all Arenanet did was allow people to give them more money. Game mechanics and design decisions will reflect this. The game will always be designed to push players towards spending money in the gem store, which will always make more money than a subscription fee. It's never about respecting players' time, and it makes me so angry when they push this narrative. And I think the big point that I think Sean's kind of landed on there is, you know, Colin's coming at us in that post saying, hey guys, player problems. And there is a whole host of player problems around monetization that he's not substantiated right now. And they're pushing this narrative, but they haven't substantiated it yet. So I hope to see a blog post from them eventually. And now the community really went crazy. You guys get your popcorn ready. Pause this, get some popcorn. The Zhao Kai says, I've had a similar experience being a veteran of the game since the betas. People just can't wrap their heads around the idea that a heavy-handed microtransaction system can be so much worse than subscription fees. Like, just take some time to imagine if every cash shop item was a reward somewhere in the world. If every character started with all their bag slots and all of their shared slots, or at least could unlock them via gold. If you couldn't buy gold anymore. If the Mount Lottery didn't exist and they were rewards for specific content. If permanent gathering tools were unlockable. If you could freely save all of your outfits and change for free at no more resource cost. If you could save as many builds as you wanted. If you could have 50 characters to start with. And all of that for the low price of $15 a month. Sign me up immediately. Holy crap. There's a lot to talk about here. Like, those sub-fee MMOs often open their own cash shops, guys. I think you're smoking something strong if you think that there's ever going to be a world where Guild Wars 3 has a sub-fee and no cash shop. I agree that's the utopian MMO. From my perspective, that's the utopian MMO, but I don't think Arenanet's going to give that to you. First of all, they've said they're not going to. Second of all, none of the other MMOs do that. They all double dip. They've all got your hand in the microtransaction pocket as well as the sub fee. And Blizzard themselves have said that's the most money. Anyway, a response to that, Night Spectre. He says, unfortunately, I fear that in the MMO landscape, having a sub fee does not preclude having lots of MTX available to buy. Just look at FF14 as an example. They got a sub fee and they have box fees, guys. And despite that, they got a pretty substantial cash shop, which includes the option to pay a monthly fee to have extra retainers. In Guild Wars 2 terms, imagine having to pay $2 a month to temporarily expand your bank and resource storage. It's true. It's not as in your face as Guild Wars 2, obviously, but it's still there. Yeah, and it's not as in your face. The Mog Station isn't even in game. You really have to seek it out, but it is there because the companies are leaving so much money on the table to not do it. Which again is why, for me, guys, I think my argument is an optional sub for insulation against the reality of a cash shop. If I can just sum up what I feel, the situation, that's how I feel. I feel some kind of optional VIP system to insulate against the unavoidable realities of a cash shop so that we can hopefully redress the balance a bit. Somebody said, yeah, about that retainer service, I subbed to it before, and if you unsub and then resub some months later, it doesn't automatically resume it, so all your items on paid retainers are unobtainable until you reactivate it. That's hilarious. Yeah, and that's what Fallout does. Do we want to use the word predatory? Sean says incorrect. Old school RuneScape is more popular than it's ever been in its entire history. They charge a sub fee that's on par with WoW and 14 without a cash shop. And let's not forget RuneScape, right? RuneScape just revealed they're cutting microtransactions out. They're doing microtransaction-free worlds and shit. This guy says, Gacha kids will proudly spend $500 a month on pulls, but scoff at a game that requires $15 a month as ridiculous. Free-to-play Gacha kids will spend hours being abused, intense grinds that only exist to justify MTX, and they say it's fine because it's free to get in the door, I guess he means. This is something I'll never understand. That guy...
Haha, that guy has fallen into Goomba fallacy. It's the Goomba fallacy, everybody.
I mean, that's definitely the Goomba fallacy, right? Anyway, Sean says they don't even need to start with all their bag slots. Make the bag slots rewards from map comp, or imagine this. Let's create a world where you have your 4 default bag slots. You could unlock more from questing, completion, achievements. Then the gem store could sell you another 2 to 5. A gameplay option to increase the bag slots come from meaningful gameplay experience. And a place for Arenanet to monetize this system without making the work and time spent by the player meaningless. I'm fine with copper-fed salvage and matic existing. It should be a reward for a long quest chain or collection. It's a very powerful item that provides a shit ton of quality of life. Account-wide inventory slots? These are like legendary tier items that could fill a reward space instead of a monetization. I'd be willing to concede on pure cosmetic items if being monetized if the QOL items were gameplay rewards. I just had a thought as he was saying all that. You know what upsets me? Honestly? TP to a friend? Feeling like they can't do certain things with world boss trains and stuff because of TP to a friend. Or like the world boss notifications you get in the corner allowing you to teleport to world boss locations. Because that got sold on the gem store at some point. Now it can't be like a baseline feature because it effectively makes that gem store item worth nothing. To a lesser degree, the repair system, right? They couldn't just remove it outright because people had repair canisters. So they had to find a bullshit like weird middle ground for it. I don't know. Maybe that one was more motivated by all the NPCs around the world. And in terms of pure cosmetic items, even that I don't like. For my dream MMO, my MTX thing, I had it so that certain things will only ever be MTX. And other things will only ever be rewards in-game. So for example, you can earn mounts and mount skins in-game. For doing difficult content, for doing whatever. Mounts will never be sold in the gem store. Any cool mount you ever see, a player earned. And the same for armor. Any cool armor that a player you ever see, a player earned. And I also had it the same for weapons. But other things are the other way around. Minis are only ever sold on the gem store. Sorry, that's it. There's no such thing as an in-game mini. And we all know when we look at a mini, there's no prestige there. There's no overlap. So you get away from these conversations. That's what I believe in. I believe in like keeping silos. The way my MMO is structured is you get different gear in town versus out because you scale. And so I was going to sell gem store cosmetics for when you're in towns, but when you're actually out on quests and adventures, it's real shit that people earned. Anyway, and I think that's a way to do it. That was my little solution. Mixed Chimmer is still responding to this same thing. He says, I remember when the game first came out, I always told people, when I see someone with a legendary, I don't think, wow, they must have done something cool in the game. I thought, wow, they must really not have a problem swiping their credit card for this game. Now, obviously, the Season 2 legendary mitigates this a bit, but your point is legitimate. And I'll just point out with what Mixed Chimmer says there, that's a shame. I remember grinding for the incinerator. I never paid any gem store money for the incinerator. I worked my arse off for the incinerator, only to now be, and I want some prestige from that, and I want some recognition from that. But no, Mixed Chimmer sees me out in the open world, and he thinks, wow, credit card loser. You know, so people who are even opting out of it are suffering. This idea that you pay for $15. So here's Rathalos. Rathalos is... I have a huge amount of respect for Rathalos here because he's going the other side of the argument and people are getting a bit rude, right? But Rathalos quotes Sean, this idea that you pay $15 and suddenly you have absolutely no choice but to play said game and nothing else is ridiculous. And he says, to you. And to other people it's not. Feeling bad... not using something that you have a subscription for is very common. Some people feel it more than others. Arenanet specifically caters to those people. Stop living exclusively in your own head and believe other people when they tell you how they feel. Okay, I don't have that much respect for Rathalos because he got insulting. Look, my answer to that is then cancel it. If I feel bad about my geocaching subscription, I can cancel it. It's not like these companies like ask you to jump through crazy hoops to cancel and they never let you re-up. Right? If we're going to talk about predatory shit, surely it's stuff about the retainers that were just mentioned, or losing a house, or the Fallout 76 storage. Isn't it on us? Isn't the owner... Where's the personal responsibility about our own finances? If you're paying a sub for something that you feel bad for, cancel it. I don't understand that mindset of I'm only logging into Guild Wars because I have to, because I paid a sub. That seems to me like very... I don't know, I just don't recognize a person like that. What? And I'm supposed to have empathy for that, am I? That they're doing something they don't want to do rather than cancelling the sub. This is very odd to me. It's very odd. I don't know how much... honestly, I don't know how much empathy I have for that. Moving on. Sean says, how much do these people spend in the gem store? I bet all 20 characters they have are lit up like a Christmas tree. Cool items should come from gameplay. Convenience in QOL should be rewards from achievements and progress. My time isn't being respected if a guy with a credit card can do 30 minutes of real-life work that translates to 10 to 20 hours of gameplay. In what world is my limited time being respected here? On top of that, the cash shop employs FOMO to get people to spend. For all the talk they did about how a battle pass is the big evil, they have no problem doing other predatory sales techniques, which are just as bad or worse. And then there was another insult there from Curvu. Let's not insult each other, guys. Come on. All right? I'll tell you what. There's only one person who's allowed to insult anyone. There's only one person who's allowed to do it. Me. Fuck you all. Right. Right, so there you go. There's the cash shop chit-chat. We're going to have to do a video on this. I don't even know where to begin. And yeah, I don't like that about the cash shop. I don't like the fact that wealthy people can play Guild Wars 2 better than people with less money, because you know, they can get all these rewards and all these gems and stuff, right? If that's what you can say. And to all these people saying, "Oh, Guild Wars is fashion wars," I fucking shudder to think. I shudder to think that Guild Wars is fashion wars when half of that fucking game of fashion wars is to just buy skins with your credit card. Fuck that. But, okay, one other thing I have to say, I think that Sean needs to understand, and the people with the upvotes and stuff here, I've mentioned this a few times recently, okay? Arenanet talked about this before Guild Wars 2 came out. It doesn't get talked about much, but I think you all need to know this, okay? If Arenanet doesn't sell gold to gems in-game, botters will. This is a thing, right, where you have to be realistic about the real world. You can't be completely idealistic about everything. The reason they own that is because it is a market that will exist anyway. And if Arenanet takes control of the market, they kill two birds with one stone. The money goes to funding the game, which is what we want, guys. All right, it doesn't go into a black pit. These video game developers aren't buying yachts, all right? They're living in high cost of living areas. They don't earn that much, right? It goes back into the game, which is what you want. And also, it stops so many bots being in-game. It stops spammers and mail and all that shit, right? Ultimately, I think you will see it happen. Now, I did talk to Sean about this in Discord, and he said something about in RuneScape, they'd solve this because they sell bonds to people. They sell you... Players can trade subscriptions among themselves or something. I got no idea how that works. If anyone wants to drop a comment, let me know. I don't know how that works. But I think I hate gold to gems. Sorry, gems to gold. I really, really don't like it. It really killed my enthusiasm for a lot of rewards in this game. But I completely acknowledge it's going to be a thing, guys. Like, even if they give the optional sub and all that shit, right? And they find some nice new ways to handle the gem store. I think that's here to stay. You just have to deal with it. There's another point I was going to make off of the back of that. And it's gone now. It's gone. I can't remember. Yeah. Well, there you go, guys. There you have it. Sorry, let me do a favor here and actually look at the live chat for a second. Botters sell gold in Guild Wars 2 anyways, by the way. Oh, you just made me realize by saying that. Yes, botters sell gold in Guild Wars 2 anyway. You're right. Rocker's just made a point there. But I want to be clear, right? And a lot of the time when I'm speaking, guys, and I think we should all think this way, right? I'm not talking black and white, right? We're talking about insulation. We're talking about degrees of severity. Yes, botters exist in Guild Wars 2 anyway, but that doesn't matter. The problem is way easier to tackle and is way less pronounced than it otherwise would have been. Yes, they didn't completely solve the problem of botters in Guild Wars 2. But the argument is it would be so much fucking worse if they took 0% of the money, right? Giving Arenanet the lion's share so that it funds Guild Wars 2 instead of fucking, let's be real, cheaters and botters and third parties. It's insulation. They're degrees of severity, right? And that's my whole argument with the optional sub. I think we have to live with being. This is what I was going to say. Live in the real world. Gems to gold is probably going to be a thing, right? Live in the real world. Even if they charged a strict sub, right? Even if your wildest dreams came true, and Arenanet Colin put out a new message saying, no, we've done some thinking and we're changing our mind. We're doing a sub fee. Sorry, guys, right? And he justified it in these magic, amazing ways that can justify it, right? And it's the dream game in some of your opinions, and perhaps mine. Even if that happened, right? Live in the real world. There would be a cash shop on top of it as well. But my argument is that the cash shop doesn't have to be so in your face. The cash shop doesn't have to sell so many things. Maybe they don't monetize build templates this time. Maybe they don't monetize bag slots. Maybe it's not so obviously in-game like the Mog Station or whatever, right? I'm not... Please don't fall into this trap of thinking because we don't have a 100% solution, it's worth nothing, right? There's almost no such thing as a 100% solution. And the internet, I think people on the internet, or just people, and I fall into this trap too, myself. It's very easy to fall into that trap of like letting enemy be the perfect of good and just being very dogmatic about shit. I'm no stranger to putting suggestions up to any number of things in the game. Oh, they could try this, they could do this, they could do this. And I get YouTube comments from people saying, no, here's this little quibble, so the whole thing should go in the bin, right? The quibbles don't stop us from generally good, we shouldn't discard the entirety of ideas just because we can quibble about them, right? And that's what Rocker's done there. That's a quibble. Yeah, they're a gem store. There have been botters and gold sellers in the game, but Arenanet got a lot more money for offering it for themselves, and I think that's just like a basic thing that we all have to understand. Oh, holy fuck! I'm hot, guys. I'm boiling hot physically. I mean. Oh shit, did we have another $50 donation? We fucking did! QOL Deluxe, funding the PC. I'm a lurker. Hello, another fellow lurker. I'm a lurker since your Guild Wars 2 no endgame video in 2011. I wonder what I said in that. Wouldn't that be fun to do a stream react to my own content? WTF, no end game. I'd probably cringe out of my fucking skull, wouldn't that? In 2011, when I was absorbing myself in as much as Guild Wars 2 content as I could. Thanks, man. Good luck getting a new PC that doesn't crash. Question, if there is one class needed to be in Guild Wars 3, what is it and why is it Ritualist? I don't think it is Ritualist. I think it's Mesmer. Mesmer's the darling of this franchise, isn't it? I actually kind of hate Guild Wars 2 Mesmer from a competitive standpoint anyway, just in terms of the visual noise and the spam and the clutter and shit. And I'm not really a big fan of the pink flowers and butterflies. I'm much more red spikes and serrated blades, right? But, I played a Mesmer in GW1 and there's something about it that I don't think they'll ever turn their back on it. It is interesting to think, though, that GW3 might be the first time a class doesn't... No, stop speaking, you're a moron. That has already happened. I was going to say the first time they don't cover all the classes, but they obviously didn't already cover all the classes. There's no Paragon, there's no Ritualist, there's no Dervish, there's no Assassin, there's no Chronomancer, and there's no Summoner, if you're going to include the Utopia ones, which I don't think is fair. Yes, there are elite specializations now. Are they all elite specializations? Is it all covered? Everything except the Assassin. The Assassin is the one that's not got its own name. Anyway, that's very generous of you. Thank you very much. World's largest iPod set with a $5 donation. Why not allow players to filter out purchasable cosmetics worn by others? Players who care about the issue won't see what whales are wearing. I think that's an excellent solution. I think that's a really good idea. It's kind of what RuneScape's doing with their MTX-free worlds, as far as I understand. I'm a fan of that. The question is the economy. Oh, here's another thing I wanted to say. You've just made me think of another thing that I wanted to point out. I'm a little nervous about Arenanet. And I want to give a bit of silence here and a bit of space to what I'm about to say. I have watched Arenanet over the years, through the development of Guild Wars 2 especially, but even throughout Living World, right? I have seen Arenanet as a collective of passionate artists and enthusiasts for the genre, genuinely, right? And I have seen them trying to change the industry, and I have seen them try to go big, really big. And I've seen them be short-sighted and fall over quite often, and sorry, but been a bit naive quite often with their ideas and tried to do too much. Again, with the Guild Wars 2 launch especially, I've seen genuine thrilled nerds that think and want to do everything. They want to make everyone happy. They want to do this and they want to do this and they want to... And then things haven't really worked out because they haven't been realistic, right? About what they can and can't do. Personal story, for example. And I think that extends to monetization. And so having followed that for 14 years, I'm a little nut, and I say that I accuse Arenanet of this very often. I accuse them of not being savvy, and I'm a bit nervous about Guild Wars 3. Honestly, I'm nervous that the reason this post from Colin recently is a bit waffly on details is because they haven't really done the hard conversations, right? Like, they haven't really done the hard conversations about, oh, every class can do every role and there's no Trinity and stuff pre-Guild Wars 2, for example. And they're just thinking, oh, we'll be really generous. Oh, what a player problem. Here's what I'm scared of, all right? I'll make this nice and tangible for you. Here's what I'm scared of. I'm scared of Arenanet devs going into a room and saying, okay, let's talk about player problems when it comes to the gem store. What do people not like? They don't like selling bags. They don't like selling build templates. They don't like us selling gold to gems. And then they say, okay, let's not do that this time. Woohoo! High five. Cool. And they high five each other and they walk out of the room satisfied that they're gamers too and they hate this stuff too and they're going to make a great MMO that everyone loves and they're going to show that they're going to show the world you can monetize these games in a better way, and they're going to do a really exciting blog post about that, and all us Debbie Downers are going to be, you know, mollified. And then what's going to happen? And then 6 months after release comes the news about the studio downsizing, or uh-oh, we actually do need to monetize this, or uh-oh, and now they're on the record doing things that they were on the record that they said they weren't going to do, and it all crumbles and falls apart, right? That's what I'm nervous about. I'm nervous about long-term naivety. I'm nervous that they will... I am 100% sure that they do have the player base's best interests and they want to do the right monetization model. I am positive that they want to do that. What I'm nervous about is they're going to be too pie in the sky about it and not savvy about it. That's what I'm scared of. So I would just implore the studio to be real with yourselves. And if you have to keep selling build templates, and if you have to keep selling bags, or whatever the fuck you do, here's what I want them to do. I want them to prioritize their bottom line. I don't want any fucking studio layoffs like the end of Season 4. I don't want any huge gaps before the first expansion. I don't want to buy expansions that feel like they're cut down. I don't want to hear Grouch talking about how they're scrappy. I don't want to hear about how we're at a small table. I want to feel like I'm playing a premium product because I am a premium gamer. But I don't want to pay a premium for it. So figure that out, all right? There you go. MMO player problems. Right. Okay. Moving on. Okay, yeah, so sorry, back to your question, why not allow players to filter out purchasable content? Yeah, it's a cool idea, but what if Arenanet naively just put that in and then it turns out no one buys anything on the gem store anymore? Because who cares when people are just opting out of it? You smell another 2-hour stream coming? Yeah, this is fucked. It's an hour and a half. No, we're barreling through. We're barreling through. Here we go. Sorry, did I actually respond to this guy? No, I didn't. Sorry. The Gen X Files. To be honest, I've played all MMOs. Have you really? You've played every MMO. And even multiplayer Minecraft servers the last 15 years. Solo? Lol, I'm not a PvP guy, nor am I into, I gotta see 345 people standing around doing nothing for it to be a good game. I ignore other players at MMO, so whether I see 100 or 23 in a town, if the game is good, that's all that matters. So my my aggregate understanding of the community response to this post, by the way. Okay, so we've done the monetization bit. The other thing is, okay, is Guild Wars a real MMO if it's shrinking the player counts? How do we feel about that? My early comments from this is people don't really seem to care. And people seem to understand that it's arbitrary. I think that's really important. And I'm glad to see that. I've felt it's arbitrary for a very long time. To me, what matters is the kind of things I feel and do when I meet another player. I don't give a shit about just random players that may as well be ghosts. I don't want to feel like I'm inhabiting the world alone together. I want interactions. So, you know, like, that's where the real conversation is. And I do actually believe seeing less players is probably a bit more fun. I don't care about the big Zerg fights. I think... Well, I don't know. Let me go to the next comment, because I think the next person has got a good point on this. Here's a comment for you for the Guild Wars 2 Let's Play. Oh, this was just a lovely comment that made me happy. It made me smile. It put a little smile on the Spud's face. Here's a comment for you for the Guild Wars 2 Let's Play. Absolutely spectacular, he says. Oh my god, thank you. I loved the secondary character stories. You did a good job putting together the moments of the secondary characters from the different stories, connecting them in a way Guild Wars 2 itself just didn't quite manage, and the delight of the Norn inclusion. And my quote... There are 5 playable races in Guild Wars 2. Limits rent-free in my head. That's awesome, dude. I actually kind of forgot about that quote until you said that. I remember it now very clearly. I recall it. And yeah, I structured it all about that, right? Every time I made a new character, I said that. And then we finally did it with a black screen with a Norn at the end. Spoilers. Yeah, that was cool. Thank you for that. Oh, that made me really happy. That was cool. Next, we got Nick Lastname. Nick Lastname says this. WP, have you seen the Tyraidal game? It's like Wordle, but with guessing a Guild Wars 2 character based on their race, their gender, their faction, and which release they first showed up in. It has a daily character each day. It'll be a fun little daily thing for the Guild Wars streams. I've seen people suggest it in the Discord, but I do not know if you've seen them. It's quite fun, sometimes difficult. And around a Guild Wars 2 GeoGuessr would be fun. Yeah, I've never been on the website. I have seen a few people talk about it. Guys, when it starts getting a bit dire and we have to pad for content, we can look into that. Just don't let me forget about it, okay? Don't let me forget about it. But I have a feeling that for the first few months, we've got a lot of fun things to talk about and a lot of engaging things, so fuck it. Not yet, not for a while. Here is Robert John Metalcalf, who said, you wanted to comment with some pushback. Well, here you go. All right, good. Here we go, guys. Here's where I have to eat my humble pie. You mentioned last stream you think Guild Wars 2 is actually unfriendly because everything gets unlocked on your account. You can't even redo it on new characters. Personally, I think Guild Wars 2 is the most alt-friendly game on the market. I would dislike if masteries or other unlocks were character. I think, forgive me if I'm calling this wrong, this may be one of the things that's distorted for you as a power user who has one of the most max accounts in the world in the game. I believe it's a small minority of players that have done everything Guild Wars 2 has to offer and would like to do it all again. And those players can just make a new account, as many do. I love leveling and progression too, but I scratch that itch by pushing my mastery level higher, or unlocking new achievements, convenience items, and skins for my account. I think many players play MMOs to extract a feeling of progression from a fantastical world, and many of us don't have the time or aren't willing to prioritize the game to the point of maxing a Guild Wars 2 account even one time. And I love that I can pursue the progression of any character, theme, or build I like. There's no opportunity cost or analysis paralysis for playing different character when they all work towards the same goal. In other games, I make a ton of alts. I often have Excel spreadsheets or character concepts and then just sit staring at the character select screen because they all have separate goals and I can't choose what to pursue in my limited time. I will say I love WoW Classic like you do, and I would not mind if leveling took 10 times longer to get to 80. But once I hit there, I'd like all progress to be account bound like it is now. You see, you're the complete opposite of me. I would rather it be shallower but meaningful on every character. Makes it feel more like my time investment means something, even if this is all illusory digital entertainment at the end of the day. It's not illusory because there's a social factor to it. You're in an MMO with other people. That's what stops it being illusory. It's illusory when it's a single player game and you can just edit the save and you wonder, why am I manually dodging 200 lightning bolts? I'll just edit the save. I also understand I may be in the minority for feeling this way, but many people praise 14 for being able to do every job on a single character. But for me, it was a point against the game, and it's a reason I don't play. Along with the sub fee, which I also have thoughts on, I'll give that another day. I like designing character concepts, fitting progressions to a theme, and designing looks to match. My agile willbender is not the same character as my scholarly firebrand. That's what I love about RPGs, character concepts, letting your imagination run wild in a well-designed fictional universe. All of this is thrown out in the 14-style multi-job system, in my opinion. To start a new character concept, you're essentially starting from scratch and to the exclusion of any progression on your main. Not for me. Again, I know this perspective is unpopular. I know at the end of the day, we all play different games for different reasons. We extract value of different parts of the experience. Some people will have love a song for the lyrics, some the melodies, some the beat, but we're all listening to the same song. Love the streams, all the best. That was very polite, and I can understand bits of your perspective. I don't agree with your take on 14. Right, you don't need to hit max level and go through thousands of hours of progression before your fresh Dark Knight feels different to the Paladin you were previously playing. You immediately have a whole slew of different skins and armor and stuff that you probably didn't get on the Paladin anyway. So for that specific example, I don't buy it. And again, it comes down to this thing. There seems to be a suggestion here that you can't have fun or make a distinct character at low levels. When that is not the case, you're immediately dripping in the new theme and the new idea of the new character. As soon as you get out of character creation, there's a whole load of accessible, easy things to unlock, rather than ultra grindy, super, thin account-bound ideas. Let me find a very specific quote here. I think many players play MMOs to extract a feeling of progression from a fantastical world. Exactly. Guild Wars 2 won't give you meaningful progression on ults. It's just not there. It's not there. You're basically going back to the exact same goals that your Elementalist was dealing with. There is no sense of, oh, I'm building my Necromancer up. My Necromancer is learning to tame the Raptor. That was a really fun moment. That was a cool story beat. They put a lot of energy into that because they knew it was early in an expansion. It's high quality experience, but I'm never going to get that again because I did it on my Elementalist. You're just getting screwed out of fun, meaningful experiences on your ults. You're being given shitty, broad, account-bound experiences on your ults. It's like you're talking about having all these other character concepts and spreadsheets. It's like saying that you're going to play Skyrim, and because you've beaten it once already, all your ults deserve to have the entire world mapped out, and they should be at max level immediately, and there's no reason for you to engage in the Civil War and stuff again. It's absurd. I think this was a very respectful post, but it doesn't make any sense to me. If you love RPGs, you love the stories in them, you want to inhabit Skyrim, right? And the last time you did it, you were a Nord. And next time you want to be the Altmer. You should be able to start from zero. You say those players can just make a new account? No. No, we don't get to gloss past that. They don't just get to make a new account. They have to pay. Or they get put into the free-to-play lane. And you should be able to create a new account, a character on the account that you play to have a meaningful, fresh experience. The idea that Arenanet are going to nickel and dime you to actually start from zero because you're the fringe experience is wild. I completely disagree. And let's talk about the rate of progression. There's a rate of progression as you're leveling, and you're regularly getting new drops, and you're equipping them as the item level of those drops goes up, or, Guild Wars doesn't specifically call it item level, and the rarity goes up. That feels like it's a sweet spot. It's really good. You're not in that sweet spot once you're grinding for the latest VOE masteries, right? For rewards that, frankly, are a mess that they don't really care about. And lastly, there's a lot of ad hominem that happens for me, right? I don't think that's fair. But let's talk about me specifically. You think it's because I'm a power user. But I'm on the record before Heart of Thorns came out talking about this. I already understood that when I play single player RPGs, like if I want to go back to BG3, if I pick up a new Hammerwatch character or something, I don't expect my second Hammerwatch character to be max level just because I did it in the game before. I enjoy the fullness of the RPG and those early experiences, and I want them available without having to buy Skyrim again, or without having to buy Hammerwatch again. I'm on the record for this before masteries were even in the game. And you might say, oh, you were a power user already at that point, but that's... I'm not convinced, I'm afraid. So listen, I said, give me some pushback, and there it is. And I think what we will find is there are people whose bloods are boiling at the moment, and they all agree with you. And yeah, maybe it's right to say different strokes for different folks. I think some elements of what you've said, though, are quite inobjective. And I don't want to just sweep everything under the discussion under the rug and just say, well, it's different tastes. I don't think you're being fair to what it means to play an RPG and start over. And really meaningfully start over. And, you know, and I haven't even talked about, what about all the cool side quests and hidden little achievements and fun things that we should be able to get again, but we can't. Anyway, there's my thoughts on that. And thank you, honestly. Because the videos are getting longer as we end up getting into the trenches with people. Vinavir says Zergs in Guild Wars 2 means culling. It means everyone else's player model and spell animations. It means fighting an enemy that can't fit on my screen by stabbing it in the toe. Well, Guild Wars solved that by dynamically zooming out, let's be real. By stabbing it in the toe, while a couple of my friends... And look, they solved that with Kraukatoric and stuff. You climb around on his back and shit. While a couple of my friends disappear into the writhing mass of default off-white armor. An MMO that prefers smaller scales of 10, 5, or even 3 or 4 players? Sounds really nice. I mean, I totally agree. And indeed, the idea that one of them's freezing the arm of the enemy and the other guy's jumping onto it to shatter it and stuff. Yeah. And I think this is a big thing that Arenanet are looking at, guys. I think the smaller player size, hopefully they're exciting about it. I can tell you that I love co-op hunts in Monster Hunter. They're always fun as shit. I was playing Spear and Shield in the recent Monster Hunter, and it was so cool when they do like a breath attack, and I could like defend with the shield, and my team could actually hide behind me in the cone behind me, and then I could press left click to charge forward against the enemy, and BAM! There's my offset. Bam, 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 bam. That's what you do on Spear and Shield, right? You just go bam, bam, bam. Love it. And then you block, and then you do it again. Ganio Din says, you read out my comment on the 3 tenets of pre-Exodus Sylvari, but you didn't recognize they were Asimov's 3 laws of robotics. Yeah, I didn't. Sorry. To tell you the truth, as you saw, I didn't screenshot it. I like skimmed that before going to bed and then resolved to get a screenshot and forgot. So yeah. Was that whether the 3 laws or Asimov's laws, was it? Of robotics? I hadn't noticed. No, sorry. 2 more questions here, guys. Ilthrahad says, no, bravissimo, for Papa Bungle here. No. There are plenty of ways that they could have itemized Guild Wars 2, and they could have designed the gear system, that such big fights can feel rewarding, especially in the early game. Want Shadow Behemoth to feel good? Have each phase of the fight drop Shadow Wisps, and the Wind Chest drop a Shadow Core, which can be combined at the Mystic Forge to make some shadow weapons with unique and useful sigils that can be obtained through those shadow weapons, or World vs. World. Maybe even have exotic versions of a couple of other random weapons in the game. For example, the Honor of Humanity, the Anura or Adam, made by fusing them with Shadow Wisps as well. Then add corresponding items for the other big early game bosses. It has nothing to do with the scale of the fights. They simply chose to detach rewards, except the 0.001% rare rewards, from the content and the world for no apparent reason. And then they failed to address the gaping holes in their stat functionality that made most of the rewards you do get into salvage trash. There's quite a lot in this. Okay, the -1... No. Okay. What you're kind of doing there is you're doing what Arenanet have been doing for years and years and years. Throwing as many reward schemes and incentives at the wall as they possibly can. They have done shit like that. Look at all the different meta events over all the different living world eras. There have been so many different schemes. Obviously, what comes to mind is the original idea for dungeon rewards, where Arenanet said what they were supposed to have done is you farm dungeons. You spend a huge amount of time farming dungeons in the end game for ultra rare drops, like getting armor drops and things and crazy weapons. And that's the joy. Every time you press F on the chest, oh shit, am I going to get the ultra rare loot? Because they accepted that was fun. But they also knew it was frustrating to lose out forever and ever. So as a backup system, you always got tokens. And the tokens meant that even the unlucky players eventually would get the armor. That was the idea. That was genius. And I think that reward system, there's no reason that couldn't have also applied to meta events. And that's kind of what you make me think of there. They didn't happen to do it with meta events because their original vision for Guild Wars 2 wasn't necessarily that spamming metas over and over and over was the end game. It was PvP, world versus world, dungeons. And yes, 3 things, by the way. A lot of you guys keep saying end game was this, end game was that. No, it was always a multi-pronged attack, right? What happened was they immediately made the drop rates very high, and they made the token counts very high, and they did a patch after like a month making the token rates even higher. So no one even thinks about gambling on big rewards in dungeons anymore. No one even really lived in that experience. They decided extremely quickly. They caved to the community's bitching, and sometimes the community will bitch about things they probably shouldn't, by the way. And dungeons just gave you all the rewards straight away. And then they had a different kind of bitching on their hands. The fact that Guild Wars has no end game. And then they tried to solve that with Living World and bending their own devs backwards over a barrel and giving them a proper shunting as they sweated to get fucking content out every 2 weeks, because that's the only thing that's acceptable and respects the player's time, right? Respect the player's time, not your own developers. That's the lesson to learn here. Sorry, I've got off track. So yeah, I don't know. I think Arenanet, they had a few rare drops at the base world bosses. They've tried different schemes over the years. The 0.0001% infusion thing, let's be real, that's kind of a modern idea. You know, that was the Queen Bee, and it was only in one of the Heart of Thorns events, and we've slowly done it more and more and more. And it's slowly become less exciting. You have to understand as well, what works as a reward system when there's only 5 world bosses or only 8 dungeons might not work when there's 30 world bosses. At some point it becomes boring. But the fundamental point here, hey, Papa Bungle doesn't deserve Bravissimo, because the reality is this is not a black and white thing. And there are ways to do it, even if you have 150 people tagging a single boss. I think you're right. You're totally right. You're right. There are ways to make it work. Arenanet needs to just pick a lane and figure it out and think carefully about it before the game comes out. And again, give us the blog posts, Arenanet. Give us the communication. Tell us what you think. This is what MMO design is, right? It's not, oh, look at how pretty it is. Oh, look, it's set in ore. Oh, look, the flowers broke when they ran past it. Oh, look, joy of movement. It's not that shit. It's this shit, right? This is what kills or brings to life an MMO. So I want to see what they think. There you go. And finally, my God, we've been nerdy today, haven't we, guys? Nick last name. Oh, ending with a Sylvari conversation. I think that's going to be fun. He says, I think you have a big misunderstanding about the people who are against the Sylvari in Guild Wars 3. I'm very interested in stories about possible other trees in Sylvari. I just think that they should do that in the past, present, future. The problem, quote unquote, all lore is fictional and all lore can change, let's be real, is that the established lore is that the Sylvari didn't exist before. Not that they just weren't talked about. It isn't a blatant retcon to put the Coden and Asura in Guild Wars 3, because it was never said that the Coden and Asura strictly were never there, let alone that they didn't exist entirely. If you put the Sylvari there, now it is a blatant retcon, because now you're saying, yeah, Sylvari not only existed for 1,200 years before we thought, but they also weren't integrated with they were integrated with at least 3 other major races in a major hub of civilization. And not only did the other 3 races forget that they existed to the point that everyone thinks they're brand new, but that they also left no traces for those 1,200 years before now. Coden and Asura not being mentioned in ore is quite different from saying that they never existed. Also, not finding out now about other Sylvari in the present makes sense, because they haven't been around for a very long time, would likely in and be of a place where other people aren't, which explains why we didn't know about them, instead of having them be out in the open in a huge city with tons of witnesses. Putting them in Guild Wars 3 would be like if we found out a mysterious new unknown group of Sylvari in Guild Wars 2, and their tree origin has been in the middle of Holbrack for 40 years, and no one noticed or mentioned it when the Pale Tree Sylvari showed up, and everyone says that they're brand new. Especially the Asura would have documented and mentioned that they've known about the existence of Sylvari for over 1,000 years, if they were there with them and everyone else was saying that they're new. Instead, the Inquest experiment on them because the Asura are intrigued by this new species that they don't know about. They can put Sylvari in Guild Wars 3, but it would be a retcon and clearly shoehorned based on modern Tyria, or they'd have to do a very well done explanation for it, not to go against what we have now. Would it be a big deal? No, not really. But to say it's the same as the Kodan and Asura just isn't true. It's new information to us that they were in awe, but they were never said to be new races that just popped up nobody knew about. In fact, they specifically said the opposite. Okay, here we go. Ready? Are you ready, Nick last name? You're wrong. You're completely wrong on like 100 counts here. You're wrong. You're wrong, 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 you're wrong. And I will now illustrate every way in which you are wrong. First, I just want to start with this brilliant quote. Putting the Sylvari in Guild Wars 3 would be like if we found a new mysterious group of Sylvari in Guild Wars 2 and no one had noticed that had been there and nobody noticed. That's exactly what they just did. That is 100% what they did with the Kodan. That is 100% what they did with the Asura. They only last year said that Kodan, oh, we're in Ore, by the way. When I explored Ore in release, were there Kodan bodies here? Were there Kodan graveyards? Sorry, let me turn this off. Were there Polar Kodan discussing the fact that the Kodan had been here? No, no, no. Were there Kodan in the personal story exploring different places? No, no, no. Were there years later in Siren's Landing? No, they just concocted that. That's exactly what they did. And they've just done that for the Asura too. Sorry, imagine that was said with a deeper voice. As for this, okay, the fundamental comment you're making here. The problem is that the established lore is that Sylvari didn't exist before. No, that's not true. That is not the established lore. The established lore is not that the Sylvari have never existed and there are no other trees. The lore, the actual established lore is to speculate, is to leave the door open and is a mystery that there probably are other trees. It is not a fact that there have never been other trees. We have facts that the Sylvari are of Morgemoth. We have the fact that Morgemoth was active in other risings. We have the fact that there was a whole tree of seeds. We have the fact that there is peculiarly similar stuff going on in the Echovald Forest. These are all established lore. That we have the fact of Malik. That's like what? That's like 5 things that all point to the reality that Sylvari existed before. We also, in tandem with that, in this specific little time of the setting, a period where the humans are becoming atheists, right? A problem where the Norn have forgotten what it was like to be up the north. We have the little minds of these little societies in this little period of time that have noticed 25 years ago the Sylvari sprouted up. And so there is conversation among the denizens, right? The Watsonian view of the people among Tyria is, oh, the Sylvari are new. Because these races right here, right now, are not familiar. It is not common knowledge among the societies of today that there are lots of Sylvari. But that does not make the fact of the world building, or even our understanding as nerds looking at the franchise, that they've said there are no Sylvari. You're wrong. Arenanet have never said there are no other Sylvari. The game has never said there are no other Sylvari. All the game has done is present to you characters with limited information that only know the pale tree. This entire comment, I'm sorry, is bunk. And it is exactly what they've done with the Coden and Asura. If we're willing to accept that the Coden lived among a bunch of different races, then we can accept that the Asura and the Asura lived among a bunch of races. So, for example, I'll throw that right back at you. Why aren't the Asura talking about the fact that they were on the surface? Why don't they talk about the fact that they were on ore? Because there's an in-law explanation as to why. Because Arenanet have tap danced it around it. They've said, oh, it's because they went underground and they forgot a bunch of their history and then they've come back up. Why are the Asura allowed to tap dance, but the Sylvari aren't allowed to tap dance? What, just because you don't know what the tap dance is yet? If the tap dance is the gods, they were of Abaddon, so the gods wiped them from history, then that's fine, right? You just haven't heard the tap dance yet. Why is one better than the other? If the tap dance is that the tree got destroyed and they disappeared very, very quickly. If the tap dance is they stayed very local to ore, and they didn't really explore far away, unlike the Forgotten and unlike the Char and unlike the humans. Why is that not good enough? If at any point you see a single, other weird race here, there's no reason that this is not it's not a retcon. It's not it's no more shoehorned than those other races. And there was another point as well. Let me just read really quickly. Yeah, you're saying especially the Asura would have documented and mentioned that they knew about the Sylvari. They don't even document and mention that they themselves were at ore. They haven't even talked about themselves being at ore. Why would they have chronicled everything about the other races that were there? Look at Tyria just broadly as a setting, right? Look at Tyria just as a setting. How many characters today remember the Forgotten? How many characters today remember any of those ancient races? They don't live in the modern world with the internet and with great libraries and archives. Only some people have that knowledge, right? So shit gets forgotten. So, yeah, sorry. There you go, Nick. That's Nick's second comment today. I don't agree. And I don't think there's a big misunderstanding on my part. Now, if you have a rebuttal to all that, let me know. Guys, I hate this video I just recorded. That was so argumentative. Where's the fun? Where's the casual chit-chat? Where's the talking about doors? Where's the geeking out going? Why are we at war with each other? Love and peace. Everybody seems to forget about the Forgotten. Yeah, lots of you... Hello, Boots. Lots of you guys have been saying... it'll be interesting if we get the Forgotten. We might get their real species name. You're not with a account-bound guy. You're not a fan of starting over modern RPGs generally. Feels like a waste, at least in Guild Wars 2. Yeah, because of how Guild Wars 2 is designed, man. Of course it feels like a waste in this game because they never lent into it. They never appreciated it. They never understood it. But you can't tell me it's a waste in most RPGs. Well, okay, so I did a Final Fantasy VI Let's Play 3 years ago. Sorry, when I play it again, do I have to do New Game Plus? Do all my characters have to be overpowered immediately? Right, I'm not allowed... You can't understand that I would have fun just starting the game. When I replayed FFX last Christmas, what? That was crazy, was it? That I wanted to restart? Come on, guys. All right. There we go. Lots happening here. I promise we'll be more lighthearted and chill. I'm scared now. I'm scared I've provoked the bear. We're going to have a bunch of other people, and the only fair thing to do is to platform their comments. And this will keep spinning out of control until eventually I just let it go. But like a dog chewing a bone, I find that very difficult. That's what I have to learn to do, though. We're getting donations here. This is crazy. Oh, yeah, sorry, the Toko? You've been a casual player and viewer since launch with $5. Thank you. 5 Aussie dollars, I think that is. You quit after the Dragon Saga. Question, might the Pyrite Peninsula be explored in Guild Wars 3? I hope so. I should damn well hope so. But it doesn't have to be a launch. It can be an equivalent to the Sorrow's Furnace update if they want, or even an expansion thing. They can keep it as a mystery if they like. I don't mind. There's no rush to cover everything, Arenanet. Alright? What did we learn from Dragonstorm? Don't shoehorn shit in. if you have a big idea, if you think you can do well with it, if you think that there's been a big build-up, chill out with it until you're ready. Tell the story that you're passionate about. The story. Don't throw it all in there. But yeah, I hope to visit there at the very least. That'd be sick. What else we got? We have Graphs Tube with $5. Thanks. Oh, there you go. That was the account bound thing. Thank you. And Graphs Tube again says, it's an issue I have with homogenized gameplay. Tank DPS healer. I'm down to redo content for the novelty. Yeah, exactly. And Guild Wars isn't homogenized. You can't fucking tell me running around as a DD Ellie if it was anything like running around as a slow, lumbering, you know, Necro, especially at launch. I mean, more and more today, the homogenization does affect that. And, you know, the replay stuff, it helps the economy, it helps the build craft, it helps the meta, it helps a lot of things, guys. It keeps so much more content evergreen. It makes your devs happy because they make stuff knowing players will play it for years rather than just flying through it and then never seeing it again, which has to be the most gut-wrenching and hollow feeling in the fucking planet. So, yeah. Break the tension, play the door clip. I don't have it queued up anymore. I don't. You guys are more obsessed with the door than me. I don't have it. I'm sorry. Do I have it for one last time? Oh, I might have it. Hold on. I might have it. 1 second here. Because I was going to do a thing with it. I was going to put it into a dedicated video. And I didn't. Yeah, I do have it. Sick. Okay, here we go. Ready? The door. Let's break the tension. I gotcha!
Hi!
What is this here?
This is my cab!
Alright, let's go.
Where are you going?
I love your cab.
Nice cab you have set up.
Thank you.
This is the most interesting cab I've ever been in.
This is crazy. What's all this for then?
What is this?
Are you free?
I
That's pretty
am!
fancy.
Do you need a ride?
Yeah, we do actually.
Come on in. So where are you guys from?
I just have to play it at least to the point where that woman, that middle-aged woman, looks fucking freaked out and very awkward and confused. And they left it in there. Oh, I love that. This isn't a door. I think you'll find there were 4 doors on that taxi. 5, including the boot. You hope they bring this back for Guild Wars 3? I would love that. Do you know how much I would love that? I would love Arenanet to just own that and love it themselves and say, do you know what? This was a bit of a misstep for our marketing, but we own it. Wouldn't it be amazing if they did a Guild Wars 3 taxi campaign? The great MMO migration back once again. Arenanet, I think that would show real humility and that would get you so many brownie points. It would be unreal. I think that would be hilarious to do like an ironic version of that. And to really turn it up, really turn the screws, really get like the most awkward moments. That shit would be incredible. I'll tell you what, if I worked there as like a marketing guy, Bogotter? Oh, I should message Richie. Would he understand though, or would he think I'm being a prick? Oh, he'd probably think I'm being a prick. Oh. We've come a long way. I remember the last the POF event. It was the last day. Me and him had late flights, right? A little anecdote for you guys. We had late flights. Most people were flying back, but me and him basically had an extra day for the event. And I was bored, and I was thinking Arenanet work just down the road, and it's within walking distance. And I was like, I want to. Nothing scheduled. We're not even allowed in the office. But I was sitting there thinking, I want to fucking go. let's just go to the lobby. Let's just see what happens. So I text him, and I was like, come on, man, let's go. And he was like, I don't know about it. He was like, I'm a bit nervous about it. I don't know. And I said, come on, let's go. And he said, you know what, WP? He said, I should get myself out there more. I should do this. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. And me and Richie together, we walked there, and it was like the best day. We went there. We were stuck in the lobby. But like, so many devs came out. It was so humbling and so nice. I'm just some twat that talks shit about their games online, right? And is mean often. But all these guys came out, and they were all so excited to meet us. And the lobby was buzzing, guys. Like, honestly, it was amazing. It made us feel like celebrities. It was so cool. We were sitting on these chairs, all these people around here. People were asking me about, like, the balance and what I'd seen yesterday. And lore and story stuff. And juicy community gossip, which shall not be repeated. And we were given action figures. It was amazing. And I just always remember that moment. I think of Richie these days. I think of that moment where he almost didn't come. We almost didn't go that last day. And I was trying to drag him there. And now he works there. And now the trailers that you see, I mean, he goes there every day. And he's fully in there. Lucky bastard. What can I say? Graphs Tube. You disagree. They got rid of tank, healer, DPS. And that homogenized the game. Kite, damage, dodge, and heal when low. Well, yeah, but we're talking about re-leveling, which is more of a solo thing. And you're talking about the Trinity, which is more of a team-based thing. And the Trinity doesn't... even in games with a strict Trinity, take a step back when it comes to leveling, right? And that would be true of Guild Wars as well. So I don't think that the Trinity really matters. You don't level from 0 to 80 strictly in Trinity-based dungeon environments. You do it through solo gameplay where you're self-sustaining. So... that's apples to oranges, isn't it? Anyway, there you go. It's got to the point that people will have to spend $5 to respond. Yeah, no, look, we have to stop this madness. It's 2 hours. I got to go, guys. This was supposed to be 1 hour. Aid Kit said, because we started late. Aid Kit with the $5. Thank you. That's the last donation. Thank you. Thank you, guys. The PC fund is going amazing. Look at that. We've almost got £1,000. £997. £1,000, guys. Woo! And the last question is from Aid Kit, who says, do you think we could see the forming of the Zaitian Order in Guild Wars 3? Oh, I don't know what the lore says about when they founded, but maybe. Yeah, maybe. Class idea even? Prereq to Rangers, the original animal pet tamers? I'm not a big believer in this thing where it's like, oh, the Guardian only exists because it replaced the monk and it had to... I don't know. I like to think of the world, Tyria, being more of a soup than that, where you can't draw very clear lines on how certain practices evolve over the years, because it should be like the real world, where thousands of people do thousands of things over, you know, however long. Look, we just got a login reward. That means it's 1 a.m., guys. I gotta go. I gotta go. Thank you very much. Drop your comments on any topics at all. We have no shortage of things to say. I appreciate you all. I hope you found I was respectful with my responses. And yeah, just on any of these topics, tell me what you think about the whole microtransactions and shit. We'll do something. We'll do a video about it. And yeah, just let's keep it light. As much as I'm trying to drag it down, let's keep it light. And I'll see you next time. I'll see you tomorrow for drum roll news about Guild Wars Reforged. I'm going to set a premiere up in just a moment, so you guys can keep your eye out on that. It's going to be a video. It is not live, but I'm going to do a premiere. I'll probably release it, so I get to pick the exact time that video goes. Oh, no, but I don't, because I might do it Saturday. Because on Saturday, at least I can be sure Arenanet aren't dropping their own news. All right. Yeah, okay, yes, €1 from Emily. Thank you, Emily. We're now at 998. Next time, guys, have a good night. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.